Here today with Jourdann Lubliner, founder and CEO of Double Social and of Electrify PR. We've known each other from the PR space for several years now, really. We've lightly known each other, I would say. And I've had a couple of your clients on this show before and stuff too. So like I've always known kind of what you're up to, what she's up to in the PR space, but now launching a brand new business. And she pitched herself to me for this show and was like, "Hey, I want to come on and talk about another business that I'm working on." And I just love when things like that come together. So thank you so much for coming on today. I'm so excited to get to dive into all of this with you. So yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to connect again and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and there's so many things. I want you to start by obviously explaining what the new business Double Social is, because that's what I think is the really exciting thing that you've been working on right now. Obviously, we can talk about what it's like running two businesses at a time because that's obviously also pretty major because I know you're still running the PR business as well. But I want to hear more about Double Social. Tell us, I guess just give us the overview of what it is. I don't want to be the one to introduce it. So just tell us what that's about and we'll go from there.
Okay, great. Yeah, so Double Social is a first of its kind digital members club and app for couple friendships where couples can connect with like-minded people and schedule double dates and attend curated events. It's all for the purpose of expanding your social circle, meeting new friends, and essentially creating some more excitement and fun in your life. It's for platonic connections, and it's a great way to bring your partner into meeting and socializing with new people because a lot of apps on the market are really centered on one-on-one connections, whether it's for friendship or dating. And this is strictly platonic friendship, but there's really not anything on the market with this sort of structure of couple to couple and also with a vetted community that we have a concierge team that vets the members. So it's sort of like a social club as well.
Yeah, I love that. I think that when I first saw what you said about it, I was like, this really does sound so unique. Like I've never heard of anything like it. Obviously, I know that's probably why you were like, I've got to do this,
Yeah.
once you had the idea. But it feels so relevant because there's apps you can go on for regular friendship. There's apps you can go on for relationships and dating, and there's really apps for all kinds of things, everything. But I also feel like that's a space that we don't spend a lot of time even like thinking about or realize. Like I wonder if a lot of times when you tell somebody about this, they're like, "Oh, I never even really thought of doing something like that." Because we spend so much time thinking about building our businesses, building maybe our individual friendships with other girlfriends, our romantic relationships, and there's still sometimes something missing of like, wouldn't it be nice to get to like hang out with my partner, but also other friends? And a lot of times there's like a disconnect between almost like friendship groups of like within your partnerships, I feel like, where they go hang out with their friends, you go hang out with your friends, but the friends don't overlap in the same way.
Totally
So,
agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's something I want to change because I feel like we're so used to dragging our partner on a double date.
Mm.
And oftentimes at a certain point, they will become friends with, the other couple that maybe the wife or the husband was originally friends with. But this kind of creates a whole new ball game of you're creating friendships together jointly with your partner. And licensed therapist and relationship and friendship expert, also named Jourdann, ironically, Jourdann Sculler,
Oh,
has
funny.
mentioned that it creates great benefits to do that, to make friends jointly with your partner because it enhances actually the intimacy and connection between you as a couple. And that's because you're adding novelty to your relationship. You are
Mm.
doing new things, talking about new experiences, enjoying new activities, but also you're creating a foundation to build that friendship on, and that involves both of you. So not only does it enhance your social life, but this whole process of joining double social is actually going to enhance your own relationship with your partner.
I love that. I love that. And I'm assuming this is something that like you're testing firsthand with like
Of
yourself.
course.
Like you're, I mean, like not just that you're on the app, but like how has it, what have you seen like with you and your husband? Like have you seen like ultimate changes that you can be like, here's what's different?
Well, we're actually going on a double date tonight with a double social couple. We're so excited. They came to our last two events. We had a comedy
Cool.
show event with Leg Day Comedy, which was hilarious. We went to a nearby bar after. Our event we met them at was actually because they came to our double social event was a wine and cheese tasting experience led by a sommelier.
Cool.
And now they're, in the mix in the member base and they love it. We're excited to hang out with them. And yeah, like it's, Matt, my husband and I, it just opens us up to really fun new activities and experiences. And I definitely think that our relationship definitely benefits from all of that. So yeah.
So that's what like those events, as you kind of mentioned that like it's more of like a social club. Like there are events with like that the whole group could go to, like the membership base is like invited to an event,
Correct.
and you can also match on the app and do an individual double date, just
Yeah.
like four of you.
I wanted to give two options because I think most apps pick one or the other. But I
Mm.
think what this does is, some couples might be more inclined to just maybe or be more comfortable to go to the events, and maybe other couples might be more comfortable with the other option. Or most people want to do both, but I think that optionality, especially in this, we are like still somewhat of an early stage, so I think also trying to see what the users and the members are more interested in. But right now I'm seeing a good mix and a good crossover. So I think hopefully, we'll continue to do these events. Our next event is actually pickleball. It is coming up on January 10th at Pickle One in New York City. And we have an instructor. It's a fun and social round robin. Great opportunity to learn pickleball if you haven't learned it yet. So what I also the goal with the events too is to just give some people things to learn and do that are interesting. Like I think a lot of, especially in the dating world, and again, it's not dating, but like when I feel like those events happen, they're usually bars and drinking.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's very one note. I could be like, look, there's new things popping up all day. Maybe that has changed, but that's what I've seen. And of course,
Yeah.
maybe that's because they're more romantically oriented and this is not. But like, I think you get more out of an experience when you're learning or doing something, in my opinion. It also takes a bit of the pressure off. So
Hmm.
hopefully people will resonate with that, the people who already have, and yeah, continue, I think I'm like also getting inbound requests for events that are really interesting. I spoke to an aura photographer recently.
Oh, cool.
You like put your hands on something and it kind of reads your aura, and then the photo that prints out has like an overlay of colors based on your hand warmth and energy, and they can do couples ones. So that was really cool to hear. I also had someone else come to me who's a color analysis expert in the fashion world and I don't know if you saw the TikToks where you can figure out the best colors to wear to match your skin tone and your
Yeah.
hair and eyes. And I was like, that's really cool too. So I feel like it's opening up my eyes to a lot of fun and interesting things. And I hope hopefully opens up our users' eyes as well too for that.
Yeah, it's more than just friendship dating and like getting to know friends. It's like actually an excuse to try new experiences that you wouldn't necessarily maybe have tried otherwise or seen before. Well, I want to ask you like I kind of want a few more specifics about the actual app itself before I go where
Yeah,
I was about to go. Because just like so if somebody is listening to this right now and is already like, I totally want to try this, like what does it actually look like to get on the app? What does it require? I guess the specifics that I want to ask are like, do you both need to go on and make a profile together? Or like, could I be like, hey, I don't
yeah.
know if my husband's gonna be into this, but I want to start the app and like start a profile and see, and then like get him involved. And like, what is the actual like membership process look
Absolutely.
like?
Yeah, great question. So essentially you apply. So you answer very quick questions like basic name, age, location, whatnot. And then the question that I think is the most interesting is why are we a great team? The app has a bit of a sporty racket inspired feel to it. So you'll let some of the language in the app has like tennis references. It is not just solely for tennis or racket sports, it's for anything couples friendship related, but I thought it was like a nice, fun way to position that. So it says, why are you a great team? Why are you a great team? You have to fill that out. You're on the wait list. Our concierge team goes through the wait list. Right now, again, we're prioritizing New York City, and the people in those in that city. But if you're accepted, you'll get an email and a push notification. Then you finish, you have to subscribe. There's a small monthly fee. There's a 1 month free trial though. And then you will finish your profile and you can then start getting curated batches of couples to either like or skip. And there's actually, it's not swiping because I feel like that's a little, in my opinion, everyone does swiping. I want to make it a little more intentional. So there's a button with an eye where you can click on it to view the entire profile. Because when you see the app, you'll see profile previews essentially. And then you can
Mm,
press trophy to like the couple, the X to skip. The trophy again, it's like winning, you know, it's not a heart. I think I wanted to choose an icon that wasn't romantic, so there's no confusion. And also to align with the sporting nature. If you guys match, you can do a group chat or you can just simply send a double date request, which is similar to a Particle invite, where you can choose from 25 different double dates, select the
wow.
date, time, and location, send the invite to the couple. They have 72 hours to respond, and then it's added to, if they say yes, it's added to their double date tracker. And you get reminders, you can see all your upcoming double dates. And within the app, you'll also see the next event with through a banner in the app. In terms of your question of the partner, whether they have to join, it's not required. It's definitely recommended and more fun if we can get everyone involved. I think that's kind of how you get the most out of it. So essentially, once you apply, you're also going to be submitting, you also send it, sorry, once you apply, the app will send a text to your partner and then
Mm.
they'll have instructions on how to be part of the app. Um, but yeah, like when both people are involved, that's the most fun for sure.
Oh yeah, totally. And I mean, it sounds really fun just the way that you have it set up like that. Like the fact that there's 25 options right there. You can just kind of like choose which type of event or date or like, I mean, activity or date sounds like fun and pick it. And then it's like you don't have to put a lot of thought into it. Like not that you don't have to put thought into it, but like the choices are made easier. So you can just be like, hey, let's do this. And then
Yeah,
it's in
it's
your
it's
calendar.
it's thought starters, right? Like I think like right now the kind of natural inclination is to just go to dinner, drinks, or maybe coffee. And with the types of double dates, it's all supposed to give you inspiration, right? Like there's a wine tasting in there, there's a distillery tour, there's a picnic in the park, or but you can also choose, you can also recommend your own idea, right? Like it's just a way to kind of get your mind moving with a little more creativity. So that you're not always just saying, all right, like let's, meet at the bar, which is fine, don't get me wrong, but there was more to life than that. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love it. What's been the like overall like response that you've been getting? Like obviously people are downloading the app, but like when you're actually out talking to people, like I feel like everybody's probably like this is a great idea. But I'm curious like what kind of
a lot of people love the idea and they love the branding and the UI
Mm.
UX. I had a great designer help me with that. It's fantastic. So people love the branding, the feel. And I think people just, yeah, they recognize this is a really smart idea and that they're, excited to try it. And so I think that's sort of great feedback so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's having like natural, just like organic growth because when people see it, they're like, I want to check this out. It's always the best place to come from, I feel like. I
Yeah.
want to I want to back it up a little bit too and just I feel like when there's some kind of like such a this is such a personal thing, right? Like I feel like this came from somewhere. I want to back up and hear like was there something where you were like, "Hey, this is something I wish existed or whatever," or like some kind of pain point in your life where you were like, "Hey, this would be I wish we were getting out more or having more couples friends," or like where that came from where you were sort of like, "You know what? Maybe this isn't just me. It might be a bigger thing. There might actually be a gap here. This might be a thing people want besides me," and like where that actually kind of came from for you.
So it came from just being from New York my whole life, living here my whole life, and I've had same types of I have an amazing friends, they're fantastic, but I feel like it can be hard sometimes to expand your social circle at a certain age. I'm in my, 30s, and especially that's because people move out of the city, right? To have
Yeah.
families and get married. And it's also just, I think people have different priorities in your 30s. You might be buying a home for the first time, you might be starting a family, you might be more powerful at work and you have different responsibilities there. It's just like I think the prioritization of having an active social life might not be the same as it was when you were in your earlier 20s or late 20s, right? And
Yeah.
I'm a very social person. So for me, I was missing a little bit of that. And I wanted to make it also easier to schedule just because coordinating for schedules can sometimes feel like an Olympic sport, and sometimes the conversation can fizzle out over text. Like, we should totally hang
Mm.
out sometime. Yeah, let's like get it, let's totally get together and like it fizzles, right? There always has to be someone who's like super good at initiating, and I don't think that's everyone. I think some people are more passive, and I think an app that does what Double Social does, sort of helps create those plans, get you out of the house, increase your social life. So that was the inspiration is how can we have a tool to, get back to that kind of, double dates and fun events in a way that is a little more mature and a little more suited for, let's say, couples.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it makes sense. I feel like, yeah, things change a lot in your 30s. And I feel like I hear people complain, like, I don't know if complain is the word, but I feel like I hear people talk a lot about how hard it can be to make friends as an adult in general. And yeah, like don't always know what that step is to take. And I also hear a lot of people who are like, don't have maybe the girlfriends and they're like, all I do is hang out with my husband or my family even too, because I mean, I feel like this is also maybe even especially a thing like once people do like maybe have kids and it's even harder to get out of the house by yourself, or it's kind of like you might want to get out of the house and be on a date with your husband, but then it's like then another month might go by before you actually get to like see other friends too. It's like you kind of have to make these choices because your life is so busy and full and it's just harder, right? Like to find time for these social experiences sometimes when there's a lot else going on. So the way that it kind of matches it up, it's like, hey, you can go on a date and also be expanding your friendship circle and kind of fill yourself up socially in all of these different ways at once. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I feel like it's really important. And I think it's very cool that you've created this.
Yeah.
And I know, like, again, we touched on, I mentioned at the very beginning how you have another business, like you've owned your PR business for a long time. And I'm curious, like, what that's been like to start something else while you're running that too. I know that, like, especially like yeah, just to stay on top of two things, first of all, like that already see like and be building a new one when you already have something that works and I'm imagine keeps you pretty busy and things like that. But also it's so very different, like a service-based business and then a tech company essentially. Like I imagine it's obviously very different in terms of what you needed to do to build it, to just be that founder as well. And I'm just curious, is there like anything that you had to kind of think differently or release or change about how you're running things or going through the world in order to take on this pretty different second role? I'm curious what that's been like for you to run both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all just comes down to time management and prioritization, kind of similar to when maybe you have a lot of clients at one time, as a publicist, you just have to figure out how you end up with whether it's staffing or just kind of figuring out priorities and, for me too, like sometimes if you have like a lot of clients, for example, in PR, that either it's a journalist that maybe has different beats, or you can pitch multiple things at once at a lunch or something, right? That kind of mentality is how you have to take it when you have two different businesses. The other thing, you just have to sacrifice a little more time than you may want to. It's not like a 9 to 5, 9 to 6 situation. I'm working weekends. I'm doing these events. I'm working. I'm socializing. I'm working. I'm kind of working 24/7 because now that friendship, not to say, it's blurred, but I think just like it's more that it's networking, right? Like I think, um, and similar with both of us owning our own PR firms, like anytime you're out and about, you're always kind of chit-chatting about what you're doing. It's just natural, right? Even if you're not, even if you do work in corporate and you work for a large corporation, you're still talking about what you're doing at a social event or with your
Yeah.
friends. It all just like at the end of the day, like I think in our generation, people really, I think what's really nice is people really care about what they do now. Not to say they didn't in the past, but I think that the lines between signing in and signing off are blurred because of technology, right? Now we have Slack, we have Instagram, we have Teams, we have just laptops, right? Like our parents'
Yeah. There's
generation,
no getting away from it.
our parents' generation, they didn't have laptops like in our age. They came to the office, they did their work, they went home. They had fax machines, they made phone calls. Like I almost sometimes I envy that time, in people's lives.
Yeah.
Really had also like when it comes to friendships and social connections, I love how my mom is like always on the phone all the time talking to her friends. She's not texting, she's picking up the phone and like I kind
Yeah.
of envy that a little bit, like how that generation didn't have these sort of abbreviated tools to social life, right? Like now, sometimes an interaction with my friend is them or is responding to an Instagram story or that, which is great and fine. Like that's just how it is now. But like, and I'm guilty of this too. Like I want to be picking up the phone more, but people sometimes when you pick up the phone, people are like, "Is it an emergency? Like what's?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so all that to say is we live in a society now where there is a friendship recession. Work has become a dominant social identity. Hybrid and remote work has shifted things. Ex-urban communities have risen, meaning people are moving out of cities into the suburbs due to the pandemic, and people are prioritizing solitude more than they used to. And it's not just the fact that there's a loneliness epidemic, it's the fact that people are not putting as much energy into friendships and cultivating community, and it's creating health risks. The former US Surgeon
Mm.
General noted that the health impact of loneliness has a similar effect as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Wow.
World Health Organization has noted that there are over 800,000 deaths linked to loneliness and related mental health effects of that and other larger health effects of that. And this is a real serious issue. It's a real serious issue. We need to really work together as a community to get people out and about in real life. Phones are addictive. I mean, we all know
Mhm.
it. Even as someone that are like late 30s, like I feel I'm a little too addicted to my phone sometimes. And I'm like, well, I
Mhm.
need to get away from my phone. Like seriously. Like, and I'm really happy that Australia enacted the current ban to block people under 16, I think, from
Oh yeah.
accessing social media. I think we're going to see more of that. I know that in schools, there are current bans in the United States for having your phone. I think it's really important. I feel like for younger people, it must be so much worse, the addictive nature of these devices. And luckily, as someone in your 30s, you have more control over that. But we are living in a time where technology, like AI is amazing and I think it really helps and increases productivity, but like it's not necessarily AI that I think is more of the issue. I genuinely think it's just the overarching addictive nature our phones can have on us. And it's really impacting our drive to make these IRL connections. So
Yeah.
I've definitely gone off tangent from your initial question.
No, I love it. I think that's like honestly the whole point, right? Like this is that's what's important. And I feel like it's like there's connection and then there's connection, right? Like yes, we're connected all the time. And to your point of feeling like you're always working, it's kind of the same. It's like if the only way you're connected to your friends and your social circle is commenting on an Instagram post or like a DM or even texting. Like, and I tell people I'm like the world's worst texter when it comes to personal life. Like I tell like my friends and family know like texting is not, you might hear from me 4 days from now or 4 weeks from now, like in response to something, because to me, anything on my phone feels very much like work. And I
Yeah,
am doing so much of that in my day to day for the things that, I feel like I need to, like I have to, obviously, as a PR person, I'm in communication with people so much about the things that I need to be for work that then, like, as soon as I'm, able to sort of be off of that, like to shut off from the day, like, I don't want to be doing anything else on my phone, maybe talking. Like to your point too, I love what you said about like how your mom is making like actually connecting through the phone. That's an actual conversation, right? And that feels very different than even the text conversation. And I was gonna say, like, I was thinking more like, and I feel like this kind of relates, the difference between like how friendship in your 20s or like when you're in college or like that stage of life versus once you like as we kind of were talking about how it can be a little harder and more complicated when you get older in your 30s, you have so much else going on. But I also love what you were saying about it's also like the difference in just how the world has changed. Like it's not even just your 20s to your 30s, it's like today and 30 years ago and what that looked like. And that
yeah,
feels so much more nourishing in a lot of ways. And it does remind me though of where I was gonna go was like in your 20s when it's like you actually come over and hang out or like you'll like spend a whole weekend like even in high school, even
yeah,
maybe in your teens, like you'd go and spend the whole weekend with your friends and
yeah.
just actually hang out. It didn't matter. You didn't need a whole plan. It didn't, it felt very different.
Yeah, actually, a podcast I've recorded an episode for and it's airing next week. Man of the Year, #1 friendship podcast in the country. Really excited about that. But
Yeah.
one of their hosts, Matt Ritter, had said that on his Instagram, like, just ask someone, want to come over. Ask a friend, want to come over. And I like that. By the way, they have great tips. The friendship guy, that's what they go by. So shout out to them. But
Everyone should go listen and get some tips.
yeah, I really like it because they touch upon a lot of different facets of friendship. And I'm very interested in the friendship space, obviously with double social, but it's just something I'm very passionate about. So I like tips and tricks and tools because no, like what I've realized over the years is friendship needs nurturing and it's not just a given. And
Yeah.
I'm one of the more honest and blunt people. And I like sometimes when I'm with my friends, like, and you can't just trauma dump to like they're your therapist all the time. Like, I do think that there are some norms to keep in mind, but the reason I bring this up is because I think that it doesn't have to be so fancy, right? Like if you haven't seen a friend in a while, invite them over for if you like to drink, have a glass of wine. If you don't like to drink, have a cup of coffee. Go
Yeah.
walk, like or do something really fun and that you want to try. But I think the point is that it can be really simple to nurture friendships.
Yeah, but also it can take a little bit more work than what you're used to. Like I feel like that's kind of one
Yeah,
of the shifts is like maybe when you're a teenager and even like or like in college, it's like you're together so much because of just the social situations you're in that it almost doesn't feel like it takes work in the same way. And then when you get older, you're like this actually, I don't
yeah,
know, it takes some effort. It takes intentionality, right? I feel like it's the intentionality.
yeah. It definitely does. Because like the thing is that to your point, you lose those third places and it's very organic in college, right? Also, college does a great. I was just thinking about this when I was at Northwestern, how they always had stuff going on. They always had
Mm,
events. They had like really great performers, they had singers, they had comedians, they had talks. We had sports. Like it was just like awesome. And you have like the frat parties and other things. I live the schools by Chicago. I loved going there. That was so fun. But yeah, like I think that people, to your point, it's like it's just not as top of mind sometimes. And I think that because of technology making it so easy to like an Instagram story, you're like, oh, all right, that's the effort I'm gonna put in. And sometimes we do need to go back to what we did when we were in our teens and 20s and just make it easy and casual and say, let's just meet up let's come with me while I'm going grocery shopping or come with me to get a
Yeah.
manicure, that's a good one. Come with me to like shop for a present for my cousin. So that like hopefully that's not what double social exactly does, but I think
Right, right.
for especially this is helpful, I think, for nurturing one-to-one friendships for sure.
Yeah. What about, and this might, I think, touch more on like something like double social. But if, I feel like the things, and because you mentioned you love tips and tricks, so I wanna share something like if somebody's more like, those are all things that are great if you have that good friend already who you can shoot a text and say, hey, do you want to come over? What about if there's maybe a woman listening who feels lonely and wishes for more connection and more social interaction, but doesn't necessarily maybe have that person or doesn't feel that, I feel like again also I feel like I see people just talking about this stuff a lot. I feel like I see a lot of, it feels like I have friends, but they're never available or something. They're never actually like around to hang out or, have so much else going on. They don't prioritize it maybe the way that like I want to. What would you want them to hear right now?
I mean, I think that's why these apps like Double Social are important. I'm not trying to self-promote, too much, but that is what it's built for at the end of the day. It makes it really easy. And so that's what I would recommend. If you're single and you're not in a couple, there are other apps on the market too for women or for LGBTQ or other subgroups too. So, but for couples, do it with your partner and join Double Social and enhance your social life. That's what I would say.
Yeah, like find the tools, right? Like there are tools out there, especially now with double social. Like maybe that's the one thing that didn't exist before, but there is a tool for like most of the things that you want, right? If you search that app store, look at
Yeah.
them.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Really. Mhm.
I think it's important to remember too, like, I guess even just the way I was like framing that question, I'm like, I feel like I see people say this all the time. And if everybody's feel not everybody, but if so many people are saying this, so many people are feeling this way, and yet I feel like everyone who's saying it thinks they're the only one, right? And it's important to remember there are a lot of other people who feel this way too, but also I think that one thing that, as you said, you're always a kind of a pretty social person. I imagine as someone who's started a PR agency, like you are that person who's out like doing things, making the connections. Same here. I'm like, if I feel like something's missing, like I figure out a way to make it or find someone or, make that connection. But I also think there's a lot of people who that feels kind of scary for. They don't necessarily know how to take that first leap or make that first move or figure out what the thing is to kind of do to take that step. So it's kind of just yeah, just telling them just try. Like there are things and there are other people and the worst that's going to happen is like you go to somebody at something and don't find that connection or you ask someone to hang out and they don't have time and then you're in the same place you were right now,
Yeah,
right?
and it's important not to take these things personally. I think the one thing is no one's thinking about you that much. Maybe
Yeah.
your immediate family and your partner and maybe your best friend, but really people are thinking about themselves. So like someone doesn't want to hang out, if someone doesn't reply to you, it's not the end of the world. It's not a personal attack. And I think that a good thing about having your partner with you for the experience of double social is it relieves some pressure
Mm,
off of this whole experience, right? you don't need to go at it alone. You don't need to show up alone. You have your partner with you. So you have that built-in support system from the jump,
Yeah.
which I think makes it a really unique resource over the other apps, which are so focused on just go by yourself and make a friend, right? So,
Yeah, that's so true.
that's my take on it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really powerful piece of it is yeah, it's like there's no downside. At the very least, you're gonna have a fun date night out with your significant other, right? Like worst
Here,
that can happen. And then
yeah,
at the best, maybe you each connect well with the double date, and then you do have like a girlfriend you can do some, you can do something individually with them later because now you know each other.
yeah, yeah,
And I feel like one thing that we just didn't even touch on at all is like, which I mean, it's all very related, but I feel like it's also men don't have strong friendships a lot these days too. And so I love that, maybe if the woman is already a little bit more social, because I do feel like we sort of, totally stereotypically tend to be.
yeah,
And I hear of a lot of people who are like, my husband, my boyfriend, doesn't have like any good guy friends. And so I love how this can kind of help facilitate that too in a way that feels very like organic and natural and not like, hey, you need to go try to find some
yeah.
friends.
That's 100% true. The friendship recession and loneliness epidemic has impacted men more so, actually.
Mm,
Um, there are a lot of statistics about that, but the short version of it is that, yeah, men are very lonely. They don't have close friendships in the same way women typically do. And this does, to your point, reposition. It's not like, oh, oh my God, you're always watching football and playing video games. Go make friends. Like, who wants to hear that as a guy? They'd
right.
rather hear, hey, we're gonna join this fun app, make new couple friends. It does also release the burden off of them a little too. Like, yeah, they obviously can join the app and be part of the conversation, which is ideal, but you still have your significant other in it with you, right? So it's not just like go make friends with other guys, it's or whatever. It's like we're doing this fun thing. If all else fails, we'll have fun together experiencing this. It's a new thing to try. Um, but yeah, men, it's you know, it's interesting what the statistics are saying about how it's getting pretty bad for them in the sense of this loneliness epidemic.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a fun thing for you, but also it's a way to help support your man or your partner. And it's going to have the effect for both of you.
Yes.
That's a good way yeah, that's nice. You're doing a nice thing for your partner by making them participate in this with you. Yeah, let's lift everybody up, right? And create these friendships. I love it. I think it's such a great concept. And I I think it's very cool that you've created this. I can't wait to keep following along and see as you expand to more cities and the effect that it can have. I feel like you're going to be able to do some, I don't know, some really cool stats or like reporting on like how you're helping like ease this friendship or the loneliness epidemic and the things that you've kind of talked about. Like that's really cool to be a part of that solution. So kudos to you on that. Well, I just want to ask you quickly, I guess, because I'm always curious when someone's doing so much. Like, is there anything like that you do on a daily basis to try to like keep yourself, especially as someone who has to be so social between both of your businesses, like day to day, like what are you doing to stay grounded and keep yourself kind of from getting exhausted or burning out from doing so much?
Yeah, I mean, I'm recovering right now from a sports injury to my
Mhm.
shoulder. I got surgery in August, so
Oh,
I'm
wow.
hoping to get back on the courts soon. I should be good by the time of the pickleball event. I'm a tennis player, and so just doing my PT. I have PT later today, trying to get back in shape to get back. But that is the biggest thing that clears my head, increases those endorphins. And I'm not much of a yoga person. I'm more of I like to play sports type of person. So I also love Pilates. That's something I also excited to get back to doing. And I did a bar class last week. That was fun. So I like to work out and do exercise. I think that's the biggest way to clear my head and not much of a journaling kind of person, but things, there are different tools for different people. So I support all of it.
Yeah, that's why I always love to hear like what works. I feel like different things work for
Yeah.
different people. And I'm always so curious to hear like, yeah, what people are doing behind the scenes for themselves.
I'm also
Um,
a late sleep. Like I wake up at like 8 o'clock in the morning, but there are some people, and literally this is awesome. I'm so jealous you can do this, but there are some people who like can wake up at 5 a.m. and they're like, I'm gonna do like my meditation, my green juice, run a marathon
mhm.
for cancer. Like, like, and I'm like, I'm so jealous you could do that. I wish I could. Maybe for now, I'm up at 8 in the morning. I have my coffee and then I get ready and do some work.
I will say, I've always said the same thing. I've always been like, I wish I'm one of those people who could like get up early and or like function on very little sleep because I feel like that's part of it. I'm like, I need 8 hours or I'm not going to be very successful. But, and this is, not to age myself, but I think it's a sign of getting older. I
Yeah.
have recently realized that has gone down to 7. I have started waking up earlier naturally, like without even having an alarm set, even on the weekends. Just in the last like couple months, and it's kind of annoying because part of me is like, I do feel like I'm tired and I want to catch up on sleep. I think I'll sleep in tomorrow. And then no matter what, I still wake up at like 7 in the morning on a day with no alarm. And I've realized I've started calculating and I'm like, oh, my body is naturally waking up after 7 hours of sleep now. I don't think I can keep saying that I need 8 to be functional. So I'm kind of excited about it. But so it might come. It might happen. I don't know. But definitely like in my early 30s and my 20s, yeah, 5 o'clock would be painful. I mean, 5 o'clock would still be painful for me now, but yeah, yeah. I'd love
Yeah.
to hear someone who's successful with also getting their sleep. That's also very important. Like, yeah, not condoning not getting sleep. Um, love it. What's one last word of advice as someone who owns now multiple businesses? Any last word of advice that you would leave fellow founders with?
I think just be passionate about what you're doing. If it's a startup, I think you need to have that passionate grit, and I think that's really important. It's not the like that's not the most novel advice, but that's what I could think of. Just yeah, do something you feel really passionate about. If you want to start a company, if it's something that you just feel iffy about or like maybe this will work, like it's harder. It's harder
Yeah.
to find that determination. You can also become passionate about something over time, but I think that initial kind of gut passionate feeling is usually what drives founders to push it to the limit.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree. I think, because it's the beginning part that's the hardest often too,
Yeah,
right? Like
it
you need to
is.
have that to want to get everything off the ground. I was actually just listening to a podcast like yesterday, and they were saying like if you if you don't love it enough that like you would do they had some examples, but like the absolute like worst piece of what building the business for you would be. And actually I think part of it was like they were talking about like social media and like the things that might feel hard, like going on TikTok and being really consistent on social media talking about like your product or whatever. If it doesn't feel worth it to you to push through the fear or whatever keeps you from wanting to do that, then you're probably not passionate enough to do the business, because you have
Yeah.
to be passionate enough to do literally whatever it takes, even the thing that you would hate the most. And that really resonated with me. Because I feel like I see people sometimes like start a business and then they're like, but I don't want to do like this or that piece of it. And I'm like, okay, but like you might not love it enough to like actually keep it going for the long term in that case.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. So tell people how they can connect with you as like a person and a founder, and also like where they can find the business or download the app, anything that you want them to find after this.
Yeah, so search Doubles Social on the App Store. It's available for iPhone. And doubles.social is our website. You can contact me through the contact button or contact our company through the contact button there. And follow us at doubles.social on TikTok and Instagram.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today.